Out of high school, his father, Oliver, sent him to Toronto to help his Uncle Jack in the gas station. Wallace had taken a year of high school bookkeeping, and so he decided to revamp Jack Nickles' system of bookkeeping, which he did. When he went back to Harriston to go back to school, it took Jack Nickle and his accountant 3 months to sort out what Wallace had done. But then Wallace's father sent Jack Nickle a little clipping from the Harriston newspaper, which they'd interviewed Wallace and asked him what he'd been doing. And he said that he had gone to Toronto and sorted out the terrible mess that his Uncle Jack had in his books at the service station, and now it would be profitable.
What was the actual effect of that bookkeeping that he'd done?
Jack Nickle would never speak to Wallace again when he would go to Harriston.
I think he would snort and sometimes choke when he was confronted. Wallace had a lot of people who liked him. I think the Chapeau people thought he was a fine clergyman, a hail fellow well met, and they would take him on hunting trips. And I remember photographs of Wallace with his rifle on the butt and the muzzle sticking out the butt on the dead moose, so that he had a certain convivial happiness with the people there. Did you tell the fellow this story about the game warden natural resort? There was a member of the congregation who was the local fur trader. He had been taking some furs that he shouldn't have been taking. They were illegal. Wallace was on the train on the way back to Chapleau, sitting behind 2 game warden officers who were discussing how they were going to raid the parishioner's house and catch him red-handed and prosecute him. Wallace didn't say anything, but he got off at the next stop, telephoned ahead to his friend, who got all of his friends in, and in a big baby carriage they moved all of the illicit furs to the basements of houses some distance from the fur trader's house. Wallace was treated as something of a hero because of his loyalty to his parishioners. That's the end of the story. I was only 3 when I knew him. He was a big fat man, jolly, loud-spoken. His wife was Fern, was a hefty big lady. I remember going to a country dance with them one late Saturday night, and Wallace and Fern were the life of the party. They were quite loud-spoken, happy, danced hard. Everybody noticed them. Father would snort and indicate disapproval. End of that story.
I never met Wallace, but I did hear that his parishioners in Texas bought him a new Chrysler car and then had Chrysler take the front seat out and manufacture a special seat so Wallace could fit in behind the steering wheel. He was a big man. One day when I lived up
at the corner of Lake Superior. An older couple came in. It turned out that the man was the replacement preacher or priest at the Anglican congregation there. After he learned my name, he became rather withdrawn. He had been proctor at Wycliffe College, where both Wallace and Harold Nickle attended and became ordained. The man who stopped in suddenly became very withdrawn and behaving as though he was walking on eggs, and asked if I might be connected with Wallace Nickle, and I acknowledged that we were blood relatives. He was my first cousin. And the man again was quite withdrawn, but when I pointed out to him that Wallace had a fairly unsavory reputation within the family, the man warmed considerably and told me dreadful stories about how the authorities at Wycliffe had a very awkward time dealing with Wallace. The same man didn't have any recollection of Wallace's brother Harold, and I assume Harold was a well-behaved, scholarly, genteel, soft-spoken man. I believe he settled in Arizona, but I'm not too certain.